On average, we spend 5 hours a day on our phones. That amounts to 35 hours a week. 6 billion people have phones, only 4.5 billion have functioning toilets. Next time you're out in public, look around you. Every single spare second people get free is spent unlocking their phone and swiping through social media. This is called the twitch. The twitch is an impulsive action to fill the void instead of just existing. The twitch has become the modern day cigarette. I've seen this when I've worked in the past and I've had 10 minutes off work. So some of my colleagues have just spent those 10 minutes just glued to their phone swiping through social media, and instead of just taking a break and recuperating. We're all guilty of flicking through our phone. A good example is when you're on the bus, you can't really do anything, you're just waiting to get to your destination. You just spend that half an hour trip just flicking through your phone. Phones in themselves aren't bad things, but I think the excessive use of phones are one of the key reasons why mental health statistics are increasing each year. Phone usage leads to procrastination, and procrastination in turn leads to mental health problems. Overusing your phone causes anxiety because you know you're not living in alignment with your potential. The chances are you're not working out. The chances are you're not reading useful information, or you're not getting enough sleep because you're up all night on your phone. These basic things can cause mental health problems when they accumulate. On top of this, look at the information you're consuming on social media today. You only have to look at the newest app, TikTok. 1 minute you're being shown how to do a card trick, the next you're looking at a dog, jumping through a hoop. As Herbert Simon said, a wealth of information leads to a poverty of attention. Whether intentional on behalf of social media founders, throwing infinite amounts of information at people are the same techniques employed by intelligence operatives. What they do is they flood the enemy with propaganda so the enemy loses a sense of the truth. It's the same with social media. When you're being exposed to these, limitless sources, it's very difficult to think or act clearly. And that adds to our procrastination because we have no focus on what we need to do. Social media companies actually partner with Las Vegas casinos and casinos across the world to design them to make the platforms as addictive as possible. It makes sense for them because the more time we spend on their platforms, the more revenue they make off adverts. And social media companies employ what they call attention engineers. What they do is they've played little tricks like when you post your profile photo, they won't instantly show your photo on other people's news feeds. They do this because the longer it takes to, get all your likes in, the longer you're going to be on, let's say, Instagram swiping your newsfeed to try and get more likes. Another thing that lures you in is what experts call the magic of maybe. So when you get a notification, you don't actually know what that message may be. What if there's a big event being organised that I'm invited to? Or what if someone is trying to contact you if there's an emergency? The crucial thing is, how often do we really need our phone, and how often is there an emergency, let's say? Napoleon, he wouldn't check his mail for 3 weeks because he realised that 99% of the time, most of the mail that was considered important would sort itself out. Napoleon didn't have an iPhone 12, but the principle remains the same. If we disappeared from social media for a year, what would change? For me personally, I deleted my Instagram account about a year ago, and it worked for a bit. I didn't have the temptation to go on my phone, but when my friends around me were talking about things they've seen on social media, or if I missed the odd invite to a party, that would be enough for me to feel like an outsider and want to get the account back. It's hard to reap the benefits without being sucked into the addiction. I'm not claiming phones are evil in themselves. You can use them for good reasons. I mean, I'm going to use it to promote this very video. The problem is the lines have become blurred. And we're no longer using our phone just to talk to our mates or our Uncle Derek. We're using phones to stalk people we don't even know, or get into heated arguments with strangers about whether the earth is flat or whether you put jam on a scone before the cream. For humans, comparing ourselves with others is a natural thing. It's something we can't stop because we derive our sense of identity relative to other people. Everything on social media is amplified. You're only seeing 1% of someone's life, and the 1% that you are seeing is a favourable representation of their life, not their actual reality. The first solution is find a good habit to replace the phone addiction. So habits cannot just be removed, they need to be replaced. If you go on your phone for 5 hours a day and you suddenly stop going on your phone, those 5 hours need to be filled with another activity. Even staring at the ceiling for 5 hours is still an activity. If you want to stop going on your phone, have something else that you want to do, a new skill you want to develop. The second thing is make the phone invisible. Leave your phone in a room that you're not stationed in, that you know you're not going to be in. Leave your charger in another room so that you can't just charge your phone next to your bed. It's a lot more effective to engineer your environment than motivate yourself to stop using your phone or using your willpower. A good example that this book used was in Vietnam. 20% of US soldiers were addicted to heroin in 1971. They commissioned a report called the Robbins Report, and it found that when the addicted soldiers returned home, only 5% of them became re-addicted. This finding was groundbreaking because 90% of typical heroin users would relapse within a year. What they found in the report was that because humans associate a habit with the environment in which it happens, when the US soldiers returned, then they had no association with heroin because they were in America and they weren't in Vietnam. That James Clear, the author of this book, said the context is the cue for the habit. So if you're somewhere where you go on your phone excessively, leave that environment. The third way you limit your phone use is write down why excessive phone use is bad. Breaking a habit requires a lot of effort, so it makes sense to know why you're actually doing it. Your mindset needs to change before real change can occur. Write down all the negatives of spending time on your phone and all the positives of doing the replacement habit. The fourth way you limit your phone use is commitment devices. A commitment device is a single choice that ensures the following actions are going to be positive. I'll give you some examples here. Deleting social media accounts and turning off notifications. That guarantees that you're not going on those apps because you don't have an account anymore. That's one good way of doing it. Signing up for good habits that force you to abstain from phone use. So booking a gym class. You know if you're going to a gym class that you're not going to be using your phone because you can leave it at home and you're going to be concentrating on working out. There's also an app called Flicked. What it does is you can lock your phone for, let's say, 2 hours. You can't reset your phone. Your phone is locked for 2 hours, so you've got no choice. It gives you no choice. The reason commitment devices are so effective is because habits are like the entrance to a motorway. They lead you down a path, and before you know it, you are speeding towards the next behaviour. It's easier to continue what you already are doing than to start something different. We've all experienced going on our phone for 10 seconds, I'll just check my Instagram feed and then half an hour has gone by. I mean, that's happened to me. That happens to me most days. So the more you ritualize the beginning of a process, the more likely it becomes that you slip into the state of deep focus that is required to do great things. For example, when I put on my running shoes and I leave the house, that's the hardest part of the run because once I'm out, I'm running and I'm not stopping, I'm not turning around. You need little cues at the beginning of something that will ensure that the next half an hour is going to be productive. The fifth solution is make using the phone unsatisfying and the replacement habit satisfying. You do this by tracking your phone use. Visual measures provide clear evidence of progress. Ideas of ways to track progress with phone addiction may be moving a paperclip into a cup every time you resist an urge to unlock your phone. Making a scoreboard for every hour you go without using your phone. Make a tally for every day you succeed in not exceeding a screen limit time of 3 hours. The benefits of tracking habits are recording your last action creates a trigger that can initiate your next one. Tracking becomes a form of reward in itself. It's satisfying to look at your progress and look at each X that you've had on your calendar in which you've not exceeded your screen time limit. And it's visually disturbing to have to leave a blank because you failed. Progress becomes a form of motivation in itself because when we get a signal that we're moving in the right direction, we become more motivated to continue down that path. Another way you make the phone unsatisfying is rewarding yourself. The immediacy of the reward is very important because the brain has evolved to favour instant gratification over delayed gratification. The more immediate the reward, the more the brain will associate not going on your phone with a reward.